earlier today, the House passed a watered-down version of the National Defense Authorization Act, sending this version, which, by the way, it does not stop the Pentagon's illegal abortion travel policy. But nonetheless, this thing is going to President Biden's desk for signature. There were 73 Republicans voted against this measure. And this is one of those bills that is looked upon as a must-pass bill. But there are a lot of problems in this. There are not only the travel abortion policy, but there were also taxpayer funding of transgender surgeries and the horrible extension of the FISA Authorization Act, which includes warrantless spying on American citizens. But the fact that 73 Republicans voted against this, I think, highlights the many numerous flaws that are in this bill. So does this offer some sort of preview of the appropriations battles that will be forthcoming in January? Well, joining me now to discuss where we're going from here is Congressman Andy Harris, and he does himself serve on the House Appropriations Committee. He represents the 1st Congressional District of Maryland. Dr. Harris, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to see you.
Great to be with you, Jody.
Well, listen, I've got to just tell you, it's extremely disappointing that this version of the NDAA passed. You guys passed an incredible version back in June. And I just want to start by personally saying thank you for your stand and for your vote against this. Just give me your general thoughts.
Well, look, we have a woke military. That's the bottom line. And I guarantee our enemies are not paying for transgender surgery and transgender medical therapy in their military. I can guarantee you that, Jody, because they're actually very serious about defending their countries and, in the case of Russia and China, actually being offensive powers. We just can't trust the woke military. Look, we tried to get the transgender surgery out of the bill. They even didn't ban drag queen shows on bases in the bill. They claim the military has a new policy against it, but until you make it law, as you know, the military can change their mind any day.
Absolutely. And I want to get to that because you mentioned all these things that were not taken out of this version of the NDAA, and all this is setting up a huge budget battle coming up in January, and I want to get to that because you're on appropriations. But before we get to that, let me add another issue and get your opinion on the FISA issues and all the opposition that we have with FISA. Where is that battle going from here?
Well, unfortunately, again, another reason I voted against this was it was what I'd consider a clean FISA extension for 4 months. And under current law, that means basically the court in early April could make another 1-year determination and extend the current FISA policies into 2025. Look, these FISA policies have to end. Over 250,000 Americans were illegally surveilled without a warrant. And look, we don't even know who they are, but the FBI has admitted that they have improperly surveilled 250,000 Americans. We have to change the rules about this. And again, we want to do it keeping ourselves safe from foreign terrorists. That's a different story from warrantless surveillance of Americans. Again, it was just not the right way to do this. We should have passed a reform bill. We should have debated a reform bill and done it that way. I'm afraid we just kicked the can down the road, and this can, because we didn't specifically require warrants for spying on Americans under the FISA Act. I'm afraid we didn't do the job we should have done.
Well, I saw an article where you were quoted heavily earlier today talking about this very issue. I think most people who are following this believe that this battle is going to come back up in January, and if need be, you can correct it then. But what you pointed out is that this actually enables an entire another year of warrantless searches on American citizens, and that's chilling. This is something that absolutely, is there anything that can be done to stop this from lasting another year?
Well, look, Jody, I don't think so at this point, because once you pass this extension and again, kick the can 4 months down the road, what's the incentive to do any reforms? It's unclear that a majority of Congress wants reforms, but look, our plate's full. We not only have to do this year's appropriations bills in the spring, we have to start next year's appropriations bill. So we have our plate is full. I'm afraid that they're just going to kick this can further down the road past the next election. And unfortunately, an FBI that we can't trust not to spy on Americans will still have the authority to do it.
Wow. Absolutely chilling. Congressman Andy Harris from Maryland. Let me transition, if we can, because you are on the Appropriations Committee and so many battles. What this whole NDAA, all this is happening right now, is just setting up an enormous battle come January. What do you think we can expect as that battle comes into reality here in just a few weeks?
Well, Jody, we would get a second crack at doing things like, taking out funding for transgender surgery and medical therapy, making sure that you can't spend any money having a drag queen show on a military base. We could do it in the appropriations bill this spring, but I'm afraid that, this horse is out of the barn. I mean, the bottom line is I just don't think our House negotiators think that that's an important issue. As a physician, I think it's a very important issue because what you'll be doing is you'll be basically requiring military physicians to participate in these sex change, whether it's a surgical procedure or medical therapy, that they believe is against their personal conscience, their personal moral stand. And we should never do that to our men and women, our healthcare providers in the military. And I'm afraid that's what we're doing. We fought for conscience protection for abortion not to be done in the military for this very reason for decades. And now we're allowing it to happen with transgender surgery and therapy.
Do you think, last question as we wrap this up, do you think the real issue is that we don't have enough in our party to fight, or is it that they just felt like right now there was not enough time to fight before Christmas and all the issues right now, and they may be putting off? Now, you and I both, for the last 8 years, I heard it every time. Now's not the time to fight. We'll fight later. But there does seem to be a more unified presence among the GOP right now. Do you think there will be a fight in January?
Look, Jody, I just don't think we have a critical mass of people who are not only willing to vote correctly on the issue, but to draw a line in the sand on the issue. That's what we had to do. There was no reason that we had to pass the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, before the holidays. There really isn't. In past years, we've taken until January and February to do it. Again, we haven't even passed the appropriation bill for this fiscal year, so we really didn't need to do this NDAA now. We should have drawn a line in the sand, gone back to the drawing board, and done it right.